What's happening, people? It is a little after 9 o'clock here, p.m. Mountain Standard Time on Wednesday, July 13th, 2022. Hope everybody's doing well, whether you're watching this live or on the replay. Do me a quick favor, hit that thumbs up button real quick. And we're going to get into a couple of topics tonight. So hopefully it won't take too long. I've got a small, partial Tackle Warehouse unboxing to share with you. And was also just wanting to go through some of the iCAST products that have been previewed or were leaked, if you will, on Bassmaster just this past week. So I know that a number of people have already done live streams like this in talking about the new products that we are at least aware of that are to be released next week at iCAST. But I wanted to give my personal opinions and get your guys's opinions on those products. We're not going to go through every single thing, but we will primarily talk about baits as opposed to all of the extra stuff, if you will, when it comes to rods, reels, line, apparel, and boat accessories and all of that stuff. So this is a bait show. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. I am going to catch you up on what fishing has been like for me in the last week, and then share with you just the small amount of stuff that is in this package that I got in the mail just today from Tackle Warehouse. And then we'll talk about iCAST. So hope you guys are all doing well. We got Daniel in here, Adam Odin. We got Fish in the Southeast. Brandon, how are you guys doing tonight, man? Men, dudes, what's up? I want to give people a couple minutes to hop in here, but I am going to crack a new bourbon. And again, kind of like the one that I showed you guys the last couple streams, that is this, single barrel pick. This is another one done by my brother. I wish G-Fon was in here already to hear about this. I may or may not mention it again shortly, but this is a special Maker's Mark pick that my brother did. You can see it says Beneath the Char there, which is my brother's podcast and Instagram handle. But the cool thing about doing a single barrel pick from Maker's Mark is that you can go through the entire process of manually picking out the exact recipe that you want. So there's literally 5 different components to the stave profile. So, it's on a scale of like 0 to 5 in each one of these categories. And you can tinker with exactly what recipe you want, which is super cool. So, yeah, my brother picked this out. It was bottled January of this year, and this is bottle number 161 of 240 in the barrel. So, super excited to have this. And I have tried it before, but not this specific bottle, obviously, since I'm opening it right now as we speak, peeling the wax. So always a fun time to crack a fresh bottle, and that's exactly what I'm going to do tonight. Always a fun sound as well. So this is a 112 proof, bit on the spicy side, but not overwhelmingly so. Say not even close to what I was drinking in that last one with the 1792 full proof, which is a 125. So anyway, spicy bourbons only. G-Fon can watch that on the replay. And I'm spilling terminal tackle. So cheers to everybody watching. Don't know if you're drinking or not. Doesn't matter. But I'll pretend like I'm drinking with you, all right? Adam Odin says, last week I was in Georgia for a week camping with the scouts. Caught my first shaky head fish there. 11 in total. Wow, damn, dude. A lot better than an 11-inch bass. Super cool. Brandon says, took the boat out today, had a big problem, aka a 1-inch hole. That's not good, dude. Not good at all. JP Harrell in the house. What is up to you as well, my man? Thank you for joining in. Mainstream Fishing says, got skunked today. Oh, dude, you told me your name 1 or 2 streams ago. I should remember it, but tell me one more time. mainstream fishing. What's your name? Sorry to hear that you got skunked today, though. By the way, it was 90 here as well. Uh, Super hot and tough conditions. I went out the other day and just got eaten alive by horse flies, and they are now swelling up pretty bad. Um, One of my toes is giant, and it kind of hurts to walk around on, but it's all part of the game in summer fishing. So, I'll tell you guys in a minute about my fishing in this past week or so. What's up, Matt? How you doing tonight, dude? Your name is Jermaine. All right, but your friends call you Maine. Gotcha, dude. Well, thank you for having a sip. Right on. Cheers to you as well. Daniel's gonna join in as well. Sweet dudes. Oh, Brandon, you're underage, dude. How old are you? I don't know if I knew that. Looks like we got Abe in the house. What's up, Abe? How you doing tonight? And you're right, Jermaine. The bugs are certainly out right now. It helps to be fishing at nighttime, and I've been trying to do my best to go as much as possible at nighttime. And it's been doing me a favor, not only in being able to avoid the bugs and go out when the temperatures are uh, tolerable, but the fish have been biting better at nighttime as well. So let me check my photos to just kind of be able to catch myself up on what is the latest, because I think I told you last week about catching that wiper, right? Um, and having a killer night. So let me just catch up from there. Otherwise, it's just been, I guess, two outings is it. I went out on Sunday night about 9 p.m. Right as it was getting dark, and did pretty well, honestly. So let me catch up on these comments because you guys are flying right now, and I love that and appreciate it. But I don't want to miss your guys' comments. Adam saying also caught three yesterday for the first time on a drop shot. Well, sweet, yeah, always fun to be able to utilize a technique that is either new to you or that you don't have a lot of confidence in, and see some success, right? So hopefully now it gets your brain, the wheels in your brain turning a little bit about where to use the drop shot or how to use it most effectively, what length of leader or what weight you want to use, what type of bait you want to use, and at what fishing spots. But I have a feeling you're going to start throwing the drop shot a bit more frequently, dude. It was one of my most productive techniques last season, and early season this year for that matter. Yeah, man. Horseflies are a real nuisance. A lot of times you don't even feel them biting. When you do, it hurts. But when you don't, you don't notice it until after the fact. And I didn't realize, I only felt like 2 or 3 bites while I was there. It turns out I've got like 15 or 20. And a lot of them are like right on top of each other. So if I itch, that entire area just swells up, and it's brutal. Brandon, 17, going to be 18 later this year. Okay, right on. Well, yeah, don't be drinking just yet. But when you do, drink responsibly and drink the good stuff. I had no idea you were so young, but that's awesome, dude. And you say summer rat fishing is the best at nighttime. I totally agree with that. It's been one of my most productive types of lures over the last handful of years while fishing at night. I've only fished it a couple times this year so far, but I've only been out night fishing maybe a half a dozen times or something like that. But I've caught way more fish if you add up all of my night fish combined compared to going out in the day. I probably catch 5 night fish to every 1 day fish. If we're being honest, I mean I haven't gone out at sunrise or sunset either, and so that's you know not quite a fair comparison. I've been going out during tough conditions when it's during the day, and so you get what you get. If you can get a couple bites, then that's awesome. But definitely gotten skunked a handful of times during the day as well. Daniel says, I got baked today fishing and not in a good way. Yeah, extra hot. What? Jermaine says, never been night fishing. All the parks and lakes close at dark around here. Some of mine do too, but if it's public and not, like a state park, if you will, you can kind of push that a little bit. And so long as you're not like super close to the car or likely to get caught by the cops, you just kind of ride the line, risk it for the biscuit. Adam said the drop shot was perfect for this spot because nothing but slime on the bottom. Yep, that's exactly where I put it to work last year, and it was working wonders for me on anywhere from like a 12 to 18-inch leader. But this year, I've really experimented with a short leader drop shot, something like you would almost get out of a Tokyo rig, but just obviously with the fluorocarbon line as opposed to a steel leader. With a punch shot Tokyo rig type of setup. So yeah, I've been mixing it up with the leader length a bit this year. Daniel says I got stung by a bumblebee on the lake today. Felt something light on my neck. Thought it was a fly, and I grabbed it, and it stung my thumb. That sucks. Yep, I've gotten stung a few times that way. Uh, Usually by thinking a bee was dead in the house. I go to toss it in the trash, and it just instinctively stings. So yeah, it's brutal. All right. Oh, Jermaine, got nothing around where you are to do night fishing. Might just stay out a little later and see what happens. Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's all they kind of could say is, hey, park's closing. You got to get out of here, man. Lake is closed at sundown. And you say, oh, my bad, and you just get out of there. They're probably not going to write you a ticket for it. All right. Adam says, what techniques do you usually fish at nighttime? So I like to fish moving baits a lot. I'll tell you kind of what I was using the other night because I really decided to mix it up. And so I got there right as it was starting to get dark. It was 8:30, almost 9 o'clock, and I was throwing a variety of stuff, but caught my first fish on a crankbait on the shallow diving 6 cents finesse curve square bill. It's a shallow diving, like 1 to 3 foot diver. Um, Caught a tiny little dink on that at 8:55 p.m. And then it started to get dark, and I swapped out my techniques. I had some of the same stuff tied on from the week before, so including the Teckle kick knocker in this black color. You can see that it's now got some battle scars from the couple of fish that I caught on it uh, a week ago. But yeah, I mean, really, a wiper like that will do a little bit more damage than the average bass. I've caught 2 fish on this bait, and it already looks fairly beat up, as if I've caught 10 or 15 fish on it already. But anyway, I had that and the jackhammer. I didn't even bring it out with me, but I had this guy. I had some type of wake bait on me, and then I had the crankbait just as like trying to catch them quick before the sun went down. Um, and then I swapped out for different lures right after it got dark. So Adam, I do rock a headlamp, but I don't keep it on while I'm fishing, especially when the moon is high. You know, it's the full moon right now, so you really don't need it when fishing at nighttime, unless it's like pitch black. But when I'm walking from spot to spot, then I will turn on the headlamp, especially if I'm walking along rocks or have to go down a steep bank to get to the spot that I'm going to. Then of course I'll turn on the lamp then. Otherwise, I'm only turning on the lamp to unhook a fish. Um, and that's about it. You know, I'm not trying to spook the fish and let them know that I'm there. So just using it so that I can see where I'm going or what I'm doing to unhook a fish, but trying to be stealthy otherwise. Okay, so um, then I completely swapped baits, and let's see. I went to a buzz bait. I went to a slightly larger wake bait, the 6 cents speed wake. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that bait. Um, the one that I was using is still in the car. It's in that black magic color, but I've got it in a few colors. So here's the bait. It's essentially kind of like a KO of the old Strike King. What's it called? I should know, but this thing can be burned, aka, you know, per the name speed wake. You can fish this at any retrieve speed, and it won't blow out. So I was fishing it at like a medium to medium fast speed retrieve. Caught a couple decent fish on it. Um, Caught 2 fish on a buzz bait, specifically the Megabass Jamaica Boa, but in their black color. The other color that I've got here and have not used yet is you know, the white python. But this was a bait that I didn't really put time into last season after purchasing it. It is super loud. It's a clacker straight out of the box, or you can bend that out and then it's just a squeaker. And it is rather squeaky and a really solid bait. So I had a soft plastic toad rigged on the back of that thing. Caught a couple of decent fish on it. You know, nothing huge or anything like that, but caught those maybe like an hour in, so 9:45, and then 10-15 minutes later, caught a couple fish on the that speed wake. I also had a spinner bait tied on. I had fished the same spot a week ago when I was whacking them, and ran into a guy who said he had a really good night and that the bass were biting well. And one of his buddies was throwing a spinner bait and just catching the crap out of them on a spinner bait. So, yeah, I was throwing just I think it was a Booyah spinner bait, honestly, more of like a golden shiner type of color pattern because it's all that I had with me. I wasn't planning on throwing a spinner bait, but the idea just came to me as I was rigging up at the lake. So, did manage to catch like 3 or 4 fish on a spinner bait, including a walleye, a decent little walleye. Um, Second biggest bass of the night came on that thing. It was maybe a 2 pounder. I didn't catch a lot of big fish, but I did catch one really good fish, and of course, it came on the jackhammer.
Beautiful 3.5, almost 4 pounder on the jackhammer tonight.
I don't know if that's my phone or just the.
Let's friggin' go.
So, yeah, caught a nice fatty on the jackhammer, just shy of 4 pounds, but real fat fish. So that was pretty sweet. Always fun to catch a big fish, but that walleye that I caught on the spinner bait was pretty average or smallish in size. I mean, it still looks decent, right? And then caught another half a dozen on the jackhammer, including a bigger walleye. So the walleye were out biting that night, and almost thought about keeping the walleye. That one was pretty
solid walleye on the jackhammer chatterbait. Bait has been absolutely killer for me tonight.
So yeah, I caught him on kind of a wide variety of stuff, from a shallow diving square bill crankbait to a single jointed wake bait meant to be fished on a speedy retrieve, to a buzz bait, to a spinner bait, to a chatterbait. Um, you know, was able to vary it up quite a bit. So that was pretty sweet. And of course, it was on the black and blue jackhammer chatterbait, which is really what I throw the vast majority of the time if I'm night fishing, Daniel. During the day, I will throw a lot more variations, especially in green pumpkin colors. Either a straight green pumpkin or that Bee Height Delight is really historically my most productive color all around. But black and blue at nighttime is just the deal for me. And I've officially run out of black and blue regular size goats from Z-Man. So I've kind of switched to throwing the goat as my day in and day out chatterbait trailer, um, especially if I'm wanting to fish the bait on more of a medium, more methodical style retrieve, or if I'm fishing in shallower water, I want the bait to stay up a little bit higher in the water column. Otherwise, I'll go to something like the Zako or the Razor Shads if I'm wanting to imitate a little bit more um, of a bait fish that's moving faster or swimming lower in the water column. Then I'll go to something a little bit more shaddy with that straight tail. But yeah, black and blue jackhammer with a black and blue Z-Man goat has been kind of the ticket for me for almost a year now. But yeah, all hail the jackhammer. You're right, Brandon. Okay. So then I also went out, what was this, yesterday? Yeah. Really just for like an hour in the morning before it got hot. This was at like 9:30 in the morning. Um, I was able to steal away and just kind of like avoid work for a window of an hour and then stretch my work day to be able to make that work. So ran out to the lake and caught, oh, maybe 10 fish or so, but most of which were tiny. So I went to a spot that was really productive for me in late pre-spawn, early spawn this year, and saw a bunch of bait fish and small bass there, and threw one or two things at them, like a Nico rig and another small bait, and they were skittish. So I was about to leave, and I spotted a decent sized bass hiding super shallow, skinny water, and managed to just flick the cover scat right over to him, and he scooped it up like right away. So about just shy of 3 pounds, and nice little fish on the cover scat. So that was pretty sweet. And yeah, not mad about that at all. You can see just how skinny this water is.
Cover scat. Let's go, baby.
So watch where he goes to. Just right there in like 12 to 18 inches of water. That's where he was hanging out, and then where he went straight to. But I first cast flicked that cover scat in there, and within a second and a half or 2 seconds before that bait hit the bottom, and I'm talking less than 2 feet of water. He came right over, scooped it up, bam, got him in. So that was super fun. Then I switched spots and could see a bunch of really small fish. That's where I got eaten alive by horseflies. And I really only saw small fish. So I was trying to make longer casts to shaded areas under overhanging trees and things like that, where I might be able to catch another fish or two on the cover scat. Got one bite, but the fish didn't fully inhale it, or did and spit it out quickly. So didn't hook up on that one fish, but otherwise caught a bunch of little fish on the Nico rig. So like this Nico rig was a Z-Man finesse shads with the Z-Man Nico weights. And then I switched up. Check out how small this fish was that I caught uh, on a weightless max scent flatworm. This is the flatworm 4.25, the new bigger size. And I swear this fish was 6 inches. Tiny little fish eating a bait just about as big as its body. And then actually tried out a new technique that caught me another handful of fish. And so I cut a Strike King 3X plastic. They're finesse worms. It's the 7-inch finesse worms. I cut it in half and wacky rigged it. Now it's a floating bait theoretically because it is made from Elastec, but they make them with a little bit of salt content. So I wacky rigged that thing and was able to twitch it as a topwater bait with a wacky rig action, and it would almost had like a little bit of a swimming action on the way back to me, and that was really interesting. So I caught a handful of fish that way, lost that first end and then just had to go to the other half of the bait, which was a little bit longer. Maybe the first was a 3 inch and the second was a 4 inch, but it worked. So cover scat, Nico rig, and weightless wacky rig on a couple of different baits all got it done for me yesterday morning in just like a 1 hour session on the water. So fishing's been pretty good for me despite it being really hot outside. But that is the short little update on my fishing, just the last couple outings for me. But Jermaine says Golden Shiner is one of my favorites, but I go with bluegill colors or white. Yeah, that Golden Shiner color in the jackhammer is a good one. I've only got one jackhammer in that color, and I actually haven't thrown it yet, so I don't really know why. It's just collecting dust upstairs in my office in a bag of half a dozen or so new jackhammers. And yet you should try the black and blue more often. You've got the bruised, yeah, pretty much the same thing, and your green pumpkin one is untouched. Interesting. Yeah, you got to mix it up a little bit, dude, for sure. I find that the white ones and the bluegill colors don't do quite as well for me. And maybe it's a confidence thing, but I talked about this on one of my last streams, and that is the fact that a painted blade for me gets more bites. And I think the flash that is put off by a silver blade or a gold blade doesn't do as well for me as a painted blade. So the green pumpkin, the Bee Height Delight, the green pumpkin shad all come with that green pumpkin blade. The black and blue comes with a black blade. That all makes a difference. For me, the Brett's bluegill with the gold blade doesn't do quite as well. The shad patterns that all have that silver blade don't do quite as well. Of course, I fish with most of them anyway, but that's just my 2 cents on painted blades and confidence and my personal experience. No, Brandon, I haven't tried a tube on a jackhammer. I'm sure it looks pretty good, just a little bit more skirt type of material hanging out behind the skirt. I'm sure it works just fine. And you know, Matt, you're right. Dink lives matter. Sometimes I'd rather catch dinks than get skunked. In fact, most of the time. No, Brandon. Just because I haven't used it doesn't mean I'm not going to use it. Um, I like the color. I just haven't really gone out of my way to find a time to use it yet. You say, I will not fish plain white. It needs to have some sort of second color. I've never had one single fish on one plain white chatterbaits. Gave them all away. Interesting. I fish a chartreuse in white. It doesn't really do me any better than a plain pearl white jackhammer, which does do me fairly well in places that have gizzard shad in them. That color's been pretty productive for me, just white on white. Hasn't really been an issue, but yeah, confidence type of deal, you know? Daniel wants a shirt that says hook sets are free, and below says dinks count too. Of course, you got to count them, dude. Tim Maynard in the house. Yes, sorry, I didn't let everybody know that I was going on tonight. I didn't send out a bunch of individual messages on Instagram. I just onto that stream that you guys added me on last week, that text chain on Instagram. I just let you guys know there, and then I posted, just a public post here on YouTube like an hour before I started going live, letting subscribers know that I was going to hop on. But that was about it. But good to see you in here, Tim. Hope you're having a good night. Cheers to you. We've got a lot of stuff to cover, and we've been dilly-dallying for 32 minutes, so let's get into it. You didn't really miss anything, Tim. So first little thing is Tackle Warehouse unboxing that we're going to do, all right? JP says he has good luck on the straight white in off-colored water. Yeah, off-colored water is a great place to throw white, but also just when they're eating shad, I think that color stands out pretty well. Well, Brandon, they have before. It's just we've gotten lucky the last handful of streams, but Daniel usually does a really good job of moderating and helping get rid of those bots for sure. All right. So here's the deal. I made a purchase on Tackle Warehouse during the Father's Day sale, right like last minute before the sale expired, right? Just because I felt like making a purchase and getting some stuff discounted. You guys know that I like good deals, but there wasn't a lot of stuff that like I really needed or wanted all that bad. So I didn't go way out of my way to spend a lot of money. I spent like 60 or 65 bucks on some soft plastics. Nothing special, but this is a recurring theme and is annoying to me that now like all of my Tackle Warehouse packages or orders, I should say, are coming in two separate packages. And so this is only like 40 of the $60 worth or something like that. So there's not that much to go over, and we're going to kind of rifle through this stuff, okay? So first thing, and this I have Matt to thank for this because of the comment that he made when I was talking about the DRT, the VTS 7s and the Sakamata shads that I had picked up in the 6-inch, right? So I had picked up the Sakamata shads in the 6-inch size, and Matt was saying, oh yeah, it doesn't have as great of an action as the 7 or the 8. So dang it, dude. I went ahead and picked up a pack of the Sakamata shad in the 7-inch, okay? So I'm not even going to open these. You know what? Yes, I am. Who cares? I'm not hanging these up on the wall behind me. I'm going to fish these ASAP. So to me, a 7-inch fluke style bait is big. So there's really no reason for me to get the 8-inch. The 7 is plenty big. And I was looking forward to having the 6, but Matt said on a straight retrieve the 7 can have a little bit more of an interesting action than the 6. Now, I still fully intend to fish the Sakamata shad more on a traditional, twitch and jerk style retrieve than I do with the VTS 7. But I am curious to see how the action of the 7-inch compares to the 6-inch. So decided to get this guy in a straight pearl white because I do tend to fish white flukes more than other colors. And, I already got this super shaddy color like electric shad in the 6-inch, which, what do they call? Biwako Wakasagi, whatever it is. And then the VTS 7s in the Joy Thief color. So all still like shad type of colors, but I do like a pearl white. So 1 pack of the 7-inch Sakamata shad from Depths in just a pearl white color. These come 5 to a pack versus the 6-inch coming 6 to a pack. So, once I noticed that and saw that they're essentially the same price, I figured I might as well step up and try the 7-inch as well. So got 1 pack of those. That brought the price down to whatever, just less than $9 for a pack of those, which I'm not mad about. Paying a little less than $2 per bait for those, considering what they are. I'm not mad about it. At this point, I'm kind of wishing that I had more than just 1 pack of the 4-inch cover scats, because I'm already halfway through that pack. I think I've only got 2 left in the pack at this point. I'm definitely going to plow through those sooner than later because those baits are pretty fragile, but they catch them. And Brandon and Tim are big fans of the Sakamatas. I know that. But what? I didn't know they even make a 9-inch one. That is definitely big, dude. That's insane. But I believe you that a Sakamata shad is money on a chatterbait, but I do prefer a bait that is a little bit more durable on a chatterbait for the most part. I don't know why I find it annoying to have to switch out a trailer on a jig, but I do for some reason. You say you're a baby bass and electric shad type of guy? Sweet. And Matt says, I think now would be a perfect time for a fluke for me. Might need to bring out those VTSs with me tomorrow. Can cover a good amount of water too. Yeah, definitely. Give it a shot. I saw that you were out the other day. Good to see that you were. Sorry to hear that you didn't really catch any bass. I did see that you caught that carp on accident, but fun fight nonetheless, right? Oh, you have some 9-inch flukes. Interesting. I have an 8-inch fluke from Z-Man. It's called the Streaks XL. It's a saltwater bait. I've got 1 or 2 packs of those, but yeah, that's a big ass bait for sure. Okay, next in the package, and keep in mind there's not a lot in here. Not a lot in here. I got a pack of these not too long ago, and I haven't fished them, but I decided to get another pack of them. Man, I don't really know why. This is the 6 Sense Crube. So it's their new tube bait. But it's a crossover craw tube bait. And it's an interesting profile for sure. So this is one that I would fish on a tube jig head or on a Ned rig or on a drop shot or even on a jig. It does have a solid nose up to these first 3 ribs, and then it's hollow for the rest of the body, and it's open in the butt. So cool profile, interesting bait, and one that I do want to give a legitimate chance and fish at some point, but I don't know when I'm going to, if we're being honest. So I've got 2 packs of them. One was in a little bit more of a natural color pattern, the first pack that I got, and now is this straight white, but it's a little bit of like a muted, almost like a bone type of color, even though they call it sightfish white. So let's see here. Brandon says, how's the durability and salt content on those? I haven't fished them, so I can't tell you the durability on these guys. I would imagine it's fairly typical for a tube because the body does seem like it's not super thick, but because the nose is reinforced, I would imagine that won't rip. It is where the hook comes out that will tear most quickly. And the salt content doesn't seem to be substantial in this bait. So I would imagine that the durability is pretty solid, but perhaps maybe on par with most 6 cent soft plastics, which for me falls somewhere middle of the road to maybe slightly above average. You say it doesn't fit on a regular tube head. Just because the hook tends to be too big, or why do you say that? I'm sure it would fit on a Ned rig jig head and well, but you're right. You might have to have a downsized tube jig head for it to be able to fit. All right. Gosh, there's really only a couple things in here. So here is a jig head that's been on my wish list or radar for a year or so now, but I never pulled the trigger because it's an expensive jig head. And this is the Gamakatsu Round 26 weedless head. This is just a round ball jig head with a metal weed guard, which is not what I thought it would be. So I do this for you guys, but this weed guard looked to me like it was going to be very sturdy. In the pictures, it looks like it's perhaps made of titanium or something of the sort. But now, touching it in person, it seems medium strength, which is fine, but it's a little bit long. You know, these strands are longer than they ought to be. I got this in a lightweight and a small hook size. So this is a 2/0 hook and a 1/16 ounce. So I will essentially fish this like I would a Ned rig or something of the sort. And it does come with a collar up on it. So I very well might tie on a skirt and turn this into just a super finessey hand-tied jig. You can see it's got a double wire bait keeper on there, and then that skirt collar up front. So, you know, it's a nice jig head, but when you get 3 in a pack and they're like $8, I kind of regret getting them. Maybe they're not $8. I spent $5.09 on them after the discount, so maybe they're like $6.50 or something like that. But this guy, let's see if I were to just line this up. This would fit like perfect inside this guy. Now I don't know exactly how to rig that with the weed guard outside, but I could rig the crube on there pretty much just spot on. So theoretically, the crube fits approximately a 2/0 hook appropriately. So I don't know how I feel about that purchase. I'll use these jig heads, but I definitely don't expect them to become like a go-to for me. I do like their standard round ball jig heads, which are significantly cheaper than these. You can get them like in a 5-pack for something like $5, and I like those a lot. But again, it was an impulse purchase. I had that in on my wish list. Now here's a bait that's also been on my wish list for ever and ever. And I don't know why I haven't tried it. This is the Hog Farmer Spunk Shad. known to be one of the better chatterbait trailers on the market. And I just, for whatever reason, haven't tried it until now. Now, that is annoying. Straight out of the package. Check that guy out. Super twisted. All bent up. I don't love that. Let me see how the other ones look, because in the package these look like they're all sitting straight next to each other. There we go. This one's fine. And that's a beautiful color. Check that thing out. This color is called Natural Gill. So you get that brown, green, blue, all of that. And you get that like high-tech style nose and ribbing, but then instead of a paddle tail, it narrows down and becomes a straight tail. So known to be a really rock solid chatterbait trailer, but one that for whatever reason I just haven't tried until this point. So decided to finally pull the trigger on it, but it seems like it's probably going to have like a decent durability, good action for sure. I have no doubt that it'll have good action. But in this day and age, there are a lot of good chatterbait trailers out on the market. So I could see where like maybe a couple years ago, this bait was the deal. But check this out. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in a pack. And what did I pay? $5.09. Oh no, those Gamakatsu hooks were actually $6.54 for a 3-pack after the discount. So guys, don't get duped by those weedless 26 hooks by Gamakatsu. But even after the discount, these baits from Hog Farmer, the Spunk Shad, were a little over $5 for a 7-pack. So fine, and I'm excited to try them finally. But my hopes are not like sky high. I'll just say that. Yeah, Daniel, it would work well on a Brett's bluegill jackhammer for sure. It would work well on a green pumpkin jackhammer for sure. Matt, what is a copy of the Doe Live stick? The Spunk Shad? I don't know about that. They don't look all that similar to me. So I got 2 more baits in here, and that's it, dude. I mean, it's not like we're even flying. It's that there's not that much stuff in the pack, right? So next up, I've already showed you guys this bait. This is the Savage Gear Structure Gill, but this is the size up, so that now we can kind of compare what the sizes look like. You guys know that I don't really love a tiny size bait in this category. I figure you might as well at least use the middle size, which is the one that I already had. So this is the one I already had in the 3-inch half-ounce version. And this is the, standard bluegill color, I believe they call it. So you get a little bit of hint of, yeah, it looks like these are both the same color, but you get some blue on near the gill. And on the chin, you get a little bit of green. You get just a really natural color pattern. Solid dark sleeper style bait. It's got pretty much the same amount of tail kick as the dark sleeper, and I'm fine with that. So I'm curious to see how this thing performs. The price on these is a little bit more affordable than the dark sleeper, but not by a lot. Let's see here. I think I spent $5.94 on it, so actually about the same price. And profile wise, action wise, looks very similar. So we will see. I'll keep you guys posted about that. But I did pick up one in the bigger size. Maybe this is a little bit more expensive than the smaller size. So $5.94 for the big size, and this is the 4-inch in the 3/4 ounce. So if I show you side by side, you can see just how much bigger the 4-inch is than the 3-inch. And is it actually 4? Yeah. So that's significantly bigger, and I'm happy about that. All right. So this 3-inch is pretty small as it is. Can't believe they make an even smaller size that's like a 2.5, but this 4-inch is nice and beefy. Uh, so I actually really like that. And when you compare it to the biggest size dark sleeper, it's got a bit bigger, taller of a profile, which resembles a bluegill quite a bit more, in my opinion. So again, same tail action out of both of these guys, really. I'm not displaying that super well. Similar, similar profile, perhaps a little bit thicker on the structure gill, and like I said, taller for sure than the biggest dark sleeper. So um, now that I've got the 4-inch in my hand, I'm excited about this. When I first saw the 3-inch, not all that excited, right? It's crazy how sometimes you see something online, it gets your attention, gets you excited about, trying it out, and then you see it in real life, you have it in your hands, and then your opinion of it can either go way up or way down. And in this case, the 4-inch structure gill, I'm a fan of. So while we're kind of on that topic, I'll mention that I did fish the uh, the Agent E a little bit yesterday. And this is the 3-inch half ounce bluegill color of the Agent E, and I really do like the action on it. I think it's superior to the dark sleeper in terms of the tail kick, the amount of action that you get out of the bait. So, uh, so far so good on the Agent E. Give it a thumbs up so far. Matt says, I like that Savage Gear structure, Gill. I think people aren't talking about it much and are worrying about the dark sleeper. Oh, no, the sleeper gill. Yeah. A lot of talk about the sleeper gill, right? I should have taken this out to try yesterday as well, but it was stuck here down in the basement. I was kind of in a rush, realized, hey, I could steal away for an hour right now. I'm just getting out of here. And I didn't run down here to the basement and comb through everything and think about really what I was going to use. I just kind of worked with what I had already with me in the car. Adam says, how do you fish the structure gill? Straight retrieve. No, I'd fish it more like the dark sleeper. So I'll work it in multiple ways, but it'll be more of like a flipping type of bait where if I see bluegills in the shallows, I will flip just past where those bluegills are, where the bass are most likely setting up, and just the contact on the water and that swim down and resting on the bottom will get the bass's attention, and then just hopping it up off of bottom and making that thing work a little bit and just work it like you would a jig is most likely to get um, the biggest number of bites. Holy crap. um, I don't know why I feel the need to show you guys, but take a look at my foot. You can't see, but my second toe is all flared up. I've got 3 of these horsefly bites all right next to each other, and yeah, it's not good. I didn't realize that they were going to blow up like that and like change color like that. Weird. I'm okay though. um, Adam, you can also fish it on a straight retrieve, no doubt. If you're fishing either skinnier water or say um, a snaggier areas, and you're worried about the bait not coming clean through cover, then by all means, yeah, you can certainly fish it on a straight retrieve, and it'll function like a traditional swim bait, just with a little bit more subtle of a kick. So um, it's a good bait. I think in general, this style of bait that is the dark sleeper, the structure gill, the agent E, all of these baits are a little bit overhyped or overpriced for what they are. Given that you could fish a jig and you could fish a swim bait separately um, for about the same amount of money as you could fish one of these baits, and they're not the most weedless. Um, it's got that interesting design where, sure, the hook is not showing, but it will hang up fairly easily if you don't tuck the hook into the actual fin itself. So I've lost a couple of dark sleepers and do anticipate that I'll lose a couple of these other baits uh, in similar ways. Now, the weed guard on the Agent E seems pretty sturdy. Um, And I remember Tyler or Ty from Bass Fishing HQ saying that that was one thing he really noticed is that he had to set the hook really hard to get that weed guard out of the way um, and actually hook up with fish on the Agent E. But that he also, like me, thinks that the action on the Agent E is better than on the Dark Sleeper. Um, and I see the structure gill from Savage Gear having more of a similar action as the Dark Sleeper than the Agent E. But I haven't given them all their due time to really be able to tell you kind of which would be best in every single situation yet. Tim says, yeah, I was one of those guys that used a modified or tailless Kitech for the bladed jig. I used to do that a lot as well, is just cut the tail off of a Kitech. And, to the point where, you got a paddle tail here. And instead of cutting the entire tail section off, I would just cut the paddle off. And then you're left with this straight section in addition to the rest of the body. Um, I used to do that a fair amount uh, a handful of years ago. Michael Romero, what's going on? Yo, yo, just got the 13 Fishing Coalition Gill Wedge Tail Swim Bait. Are you thinking of getting it? What do you mean? This guy right here? Yeah, I've got it, dude. You're looking at it. I've got it rigged up here. I have not fished it yet, though. Uh, I'm happy to have it, and I think it's going to have a really good action when you consider how much tail that thing has on it. And I'm really impressed with the hook slot on it and the way that it's designed. That hook just goes through the roof, and I think will not only set easily, but it will go back to where it came from easily, and not damage the swim bait too much because you don't actually have to pierce the bait to rig it, which is super cool. If you look in the very back section of the hook slot, it's hollow back there. So if you use the right size hook, and I can't remember if this is a 6/0 or an 8/0, but it says on the packaging for the bait what the right size hook is. Rigging it is a dream. So yes, I have not only thought about getting it, but I did get one about a month ago. Chicken fried steak in the house. Late as usual. No problem, dude. Yeah, Daniel, I don't know. The horse flies really got me good. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm blowing up right now. Brock says just spray a little garlic, spike it on your toes, you'll be good. No, thank you, sir. It sounds gnarly. Yeah, probably so. I've been thinking about putting on a little bit of like, anti itch type of spray. I've got some old school stuff that I used to use back in Costa Rica. G Fun, my man, I was talking about you an hour ago when we first started this stream. Check out the booze that I'm drinking, dude. Just cracked a fresh bottle tonight. Another single barrel pick of my brothers from Maker's Mark Private Selection. This is a single barrel, as you can see here, 112 proof. And super cool thing about Maker's Mark is that you can actually choose the specific recipe that you want. If you're going to buy your own barrel, they will allow you to go through a pretty extensive tasting process where they will send you a bunch of different samples and tell you the different stave characteristics and profiles so that you can adjust all 5 of these categories to your liking, and they will send you more and more different variations. And then once you pinpoint exactly what you like, then you can select a barrel, and that's what my brother did here. And this was one that was a long time coming that we're super excited to have. And I've only tried one time before now, and am excited to be not only drinking with you guys tonight, but going to be drinking with some friends up in the mountains this weekend, going up to celebrate a friend's birthday and just hang out as family. So should be fun. Daniel says, scratch the bite open and put a little Maker's Mark on it. It'll be fine by morning. Maybe, maybe not. Tom Mix, what's up? Okay, I got one thing left in this package from Tackle Warehouse, and then let's go through the iCAST preview, and we're just going to talk about baits tonight. Really, maybe one or two other things outside of that, but we're not going to go through the entire list like most people have. I know that Rich from Hellabass and Debo and Kevin Baxter, the bait man, went through the list. So I'm gonna pull it up, screen share, and we're gonna scroll through, but just kind of go a little bit quicker through the list and pretty much talk just about baits. So the last thing that I got in this package from Tackle Warehouse, and honestly, it's just in this package. It's not the entire order. There are still another like 4 or 5 baits that are coming late, which annoys me. But I ordered this when on the 6th. So it took a week for this first portion of the package to get here, and the other portion just shipped out today. So that's super annoying. But it is what it is. It seems to be more of a common thing, and you guys got to deal with it. So last thing in the order that is not super cheap, but is one that I'm excited to try, and I mentioned it recently, is the Savage Gear Duratech Toad. So this is the newest in their Duratech lineup. So essentially they're a LazTech style material, but in a toad profile. And so Nick, the informative fisherman, was behind the development of this bait, no doubt, and has done a remarkable job at promoting it. This bait comes 3 to a pack and with an EWG style hook in the pack. So that's interesting. They advertise it as like 1 pre-rigged and 2 separate bodies, but really it's 3 bodies and 1 hook. And so I don't know who makes this hook, but this is really just an EWG hook with like a little bait keeper type of thing on the front. It almost looks like it's made from UV resin, which, is great. But check out this bait. This is a toad. Looks like a toad, but has definitely more of like a keeled throat and a really thick body, wide body, and this deep belly slot. I don't know how well you can see that, but super deep belly slot and a big hook slot on top of the bait. And it's got these big kickers with some large flanges on them. So this bait should float really well. Apparently, it's supposed to skip really well. I think it'll make a tremendous buzzing toad style bait, as well as an awesome buzz bait trailer. So, throw this on the back of the Megabass Jamaica Boa, and that thing's going to stay on there for an eternity. But let's go ahead and rig it up on this hook that they provide. If I had to guess, this is like a 4/0 hook, but it's got a little bit longer of, a I don't even know what you call this part of the hook, but before the line tie. So I'm going to go in a little bit further into the nose of the bait and then pop out in this hook slot, which runs pretty much front to back of the bait. So you're going to pull this guy up through the bait, which is a lot easier to do with Elastec and Duratec style baits than with any other type of plastic. And it's not all wanting to pull up over that thing. There we go. And this hook is sized perfectly for what this bait is. I will say that right now. Ooh-wee. So I like that. I like that a lot. You can see the hook comes out almost in the back of the bait. It's not so wide of a gap of a hook that it's going to collect a lot of weeds or anything like that, but enough to where you're going to get a very good hookup ratio on it. So first impressions of this bait, really good. In fact, I'm probably just going to leave this rigged and out and not even put it back in the package, just to remind myself to use it ASAP. That's a bait that's been on my radar, and I think maybe I even ordered 2 packs of them in this order. So it's weird that only this white albino color came in the package and the other one didn't. That it's coming in part 2 of the package, but oh well. So that does it for that half, if you will, of my order from Tackle Warehouse from Father's Day. This bait is not cheap, coming 3 to a pack and cost, it comes with a hook, but they're like $9. So after the sale, it was $7.64. So, I figured now was the time to actually pull the trigger on these guys. Durability is going to be fantastic. So 3 baits will go a long way, but they're definitely more expensive than like what you get from Z-Man. So I was a little bit hesitant to try them, but all the Duratec stuff does come scented with a pretty unique scent on them, which is interesting. And I've gotten bit pretty well on the Duratec stuff from Savage Gear pretty well so far. So anyway, that does it for the unboxing. Let me pull up the Bassmaster deal and then catch up on comments, okay? So I know I've got that already pulled up. Go to share. Oh, we got a million tabs open. All right. So we'll leave it right there. And I'm going to hop back over to where you guys are and hop back over here. So we've got that. And I'm going to pull that right back up in a second. So sorry I just missed out on a bunch of comments. Frank Doucette in the house. Yo, yo. Well, yeah, dude. I mean, way better to be spending time with your daughter than with me or with the rest of us guys. But thank you for joining in, dude. Uh, she is your baby indeed. So you're spending your time wisely. Matt, we're going to talk about that in just a couple minutes. All right. Michael says, I got the Savage Gear Toads too, and the Ned Dragontail slugs. Nice. Yeah, the Ned Dragontail slugs are sweet. Um, I have one or two packs of them as well. Haven't really put them to use just yet. I've only fished the Dragontail slug in the like 4 inch a little bit. But you know, I'm big fan of pretty much all of the Duratech baits from Savage Gear. You know, I had a lot of success on the baits last year, especially that salamander. But yeah, I'm a fan. I'm with you, dude. Uh. Okay, cool. So let's move on and open this bad boy up. How do I do this now? Because I've got it here, but I just want to change the layout. Just want to change the layout. There we are. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. So hard baits are first, and keep in mind this is not everything that is going to be at iCAST by any means. So that is going to change. There are going to be a lot of things at iCAST that are not in this preview. So while this preview might seem a little bit underwhelming, um, it's possible that iCAST on the whole will not be totally underwhelming, or it might be. Um, you know, initially I was supposed to have the opportunity to go to iCast this year with Discount Tackle, but you know, the marketing guy at Discount Tackle changed hands this year. I don't have a super close relationship with him, and two, it also just doesn't work with my schedule to try and force that and ask to be able to go. So I didn't even care to go this year. Plus, the last couple of years, it's been a little bit underwhelming on the whole. That said, I do want to go at some point. So let's see here. First up is the Berkeley Slobber Knocker. Okay. You know, this is their new bladed jig. I don't want to call it a chatterbait because it's not. And, you know, you can see a little bit from this picture what it is. It's a through head design, which a lot of people have been comparing to, say, the Queen Tackle Switchblade, which there's some validity to that. I don't know that you could take a Queen Tackle Switchblade and put it on the Slobber Knocker because of how small it is. The Switchblade, you know, if you look at it, has a very narrow opening, and so it wouldn't fit around a giant head like what you get with the Slobber Knocker, but it is a similar concept, and way around Z-Man's patent, but I'll say that the action looks good in the videos that they have put out, showing the action of the slobber knocker. But I'm skeptical that the vibration and the sound that it will produce is going to stand up to the jackhammer at all. It doesn't it doesn't look like it's capable of it, because the way that the blade is attached, let's take a look at this again. Um, the blade is not going to be capable of making contact with the head itself. So it might be able to vibrate and thump pretty well, but it's not going to chatter the same way that a jackhammer does. And so I have no doubt that it'll be a good bladed jig. But as for whether it's worth the price tag of $13.99, I just don't think it's going to get there. And if I zoom in, can you see that a little bit better? The actual writing on this page. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit further. Now the picture is going to be giant. That's fine. Okay, so yeah, through head design, innovative, sure. Ideal for coming through heavy cover. I don't know about that, but it does have a hand tied in power bait infused silicone skirt, which is cool. But chip resistant paint finish, I don't know about that. Fusion 19 hook, solid. So that's cool. But $13.99, I don't think so. So will I try it? Yeah. It'll be like the Thunder Cricket. I will give it a fair shake. Are my expectations sky high? No. Uh, am I open-minded enough to let it become, say, number 2 or number 3 in my arsenal and be a solid alternative to the jackhammer if it has something legitimate going for it? Then yes, I am. But I already know with a relatively high degree of confidence that it is not going to be a jackhammer. Uh, it's only people who work with Berkeley or for Berkeley who are talking it up, saying that like it's the next big thing in bladed jigs, and I don't totally believe that. Daniel, I completely agree. For that price, I would rather buy a jackhammer. Um, if you go on Discount Tackle right now, you can get a jackhammer for $12.79, cheaper than that $13.99 for sure. So why would you spend $13.99 on a slobber knocker? Just doesn't really make sense to me. Matt says they all say chip resistant. 3 hits on a rock later and the paint is chipped. Yeah, absolutely. I don't even think it takes 3 hits on a rock. Tim says there's a ton of JDM bladed jigs with elaborate designs that a lot of people don't know about. Yep, we kind of mentioned that in last week's stream. Definitely true. But those JDM bladed jigs are a little bit harder to get your hands on. But yes, unique designs for sure. Bruce says, I finally picked up 2 jackhammers. I also got 2 13 fishing whippersnapper 110s for $26.50 shipped. For all 4, dude, that's a great price. It's a hell of a deal. Well, good for you, man. Don't be afraid to throw those jackhammers and fish them fast. But the best advice that I can give you on fishing a jackhammer is to fish it like you would a whopper plopper, in that you want to fish it as fast as you can where you can feel that the vibration is hardest. So with a whopper plopper, you want to fish it quickly enough to where the sound gets loudest without that pitch getting higher. It'll get louder and then it'll change and go to a weirdly high pitch and you know you're burning it too fast. So there's somewhere in the ballpark of a medium fast retrieve where both the whopper plopper and the jackhammer chatterbait perform best and get the most bites. And I think it's because of the pitch of that sound, the vibration that it puts out that just triggers fish. It pisses them off and they feel the need to shut it up or stop that vibration. Um, so keep that in mind for the jackhammer. You might need to count it down if you want to fish it lower in the water column. You might need to use a different trailer, something a little bit more craw-like. If you want to keep it higher, something a little bit more shad-like if you want to keep it lower in the water column. Um, but generally that medium to medium fast retrieve, just kind of winding pretty quickly, and occasionally a quick little burn of the reel, maybe like every 8 turns of the reel handle. Just give it a quick little boom, boom, and it will make that bait kind of dart off or rise up a little bit, and do something different. So if there's fish that have been called from far away and are coming over to the bait or are trailing the bait, um, that little change of action will often trigger them as well. So keep that in mind. Tim, that's a good point. If you do enough hunting and you have enough patience, you can pretty much get any JDM bait uh, that you want, or at least that you're talking about. You're right. Matt, I'm not sure about the Amakatsu Java Shad. Mm, I think I saw it, but it wasn't remarkable enough for me to remember it. Maybe I should look back at it. I don't know, man. Sorry. I should remember, but I don't. All right, so moving right along. This is another, you know, Catchco Mike Buka, the bull mullet. I'm not really sure why they're creating this bait because for now or until now, the baby bull shad and the baby bull gill have been freshwater baits. And it now looks like they're trying to get into the saltwater game. So this is a 5.5 inch bait, 1.5 ounces, and 3x saltwater hooks and heavy duty rotating hook hangers. So interesting that they're rotating hook hangers, but this is a saltwater bait and it retails for 20 bucks. So, the baby bull gill was the second edition. The baby bull shad was the first edition. And these are $15 baits and they're good, right? I don't think anybody really disagrees with the fact that they're, for what they are, they're worth it. They're good baits. Good on Mike Buka for collaborating and putting his name out there to help get recognized a little bit more by the mainstream community. But I have no need for this mullet. I don't fish saltwater, so it's not me. So moving right along. Now, is it worth 20 bucks if you fish saltwater and you have, mullet as bait fish? You want saltwater hooks and you see the advantage to rotating hook hangers? I would say yeah, probably. It's just not my market. Okay. Next up is a spinner bait by Freedom Tackle called the Speed Freak. You can see here that this blade on the top is a unique shape, kind of like an Indiana, but with some edges on it. That's interesting, but I don't love this head or the collared skirt. I'm not a big spinnerbait guy in the first place, so yeah, it doesn't really appeal to me. Freedom Tackle Ultra Diver Shad. $9 crankbait, deep diver. Not my deal. Doesn't look all that appealing. Kevin the Baitman was saying that this essentially resembles an old school bait that is no longer existent, and they're just bringing it back, and it is kind of whatever. The bait doesn't appeal to me because I don't fish deep diving crankbaits. Oh, I guess maybe he was saying that because of the bill shape. You can see a little bit here that the bill is a unique shape, kind of like a flower. It's got this deeper section on the front of the bill. So instead of being perfectly rounded, it has this like clover style bill. I don't care for it. It says clover leaf lip. I should have read. Okay. Guggen Squad. Yippee. The bumper spinnerbait. Okay. Strong wire framework, stout hook, 2 flashy Colorado blades. It's a spinnerbait. It's for $6.99, and it's got this little green thing. Whatever. Not interested. This is a Nichols Catalyst spinnerbait. Owner hook. I'm not mad about that. 24 karat gold or nickel. Don't tell me that it's plated in 24 karat gold. But it's a nickel spinnerbait, so it's probably pretty good. Would I give it a shot? Probably. It looks like an unconventional head for nickels, though, and it's weird that it doesn't have an eye on it. It looks fairly raw. Unique skirt, but looks fine. Again, I'm not a huge spinnerbait guy, but just knowing that it has an owner hook on it gets me a little bit excited. So I would try it, right? Oh, the Lure Jensen Hot Lips. Okay, Tim, you're right. It's an exact recreation of a Lure Jensen Hot Lips. You've been throwing that for years. Interesting. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that. I don't really throw anything by Lure Jensen. I'm not that old school. Daniel says, LOL, I gave Dad that Guggen crankbait that I mentioned last week. Told him it doesn't matter if you lose it. Yeah. Ketchko and Guggen Squad. Is that what we just saw with the spinnerbait? I assume so. Yeah, Guggen Squad. So if it's Guggen Baits, it's the actual guys. If it's Guggen Squad, it's Ketchko. But even still, Guggen Baits, I think, was bought out. So, the guys just have percentages of both Guggen Baits and Guggen Squad rights through Ketchko. None of it really matters all that much to them, and I don't think they're all using their stuff exclusively by any means. Okay. Caught up on the comments. Next up, let's move on from the spinner baits. What's next? Oh, the Spro. No, it's not Spro. It's a BBZ rat, but by Fish Lab. So it's called the Bio Rat. So Bill Sementel, sounds weird saying semen, but I think that's his name, Sementel, who used to be with Spro to create the BBZ line of swim baits, created this rat with Fish Lab, which is a unique topwater bait, which looks really gimmicky, has a weird face on it for sure, but apparently this thing's supposed to be a walking bait and a plopper style bait all in one. And it's got the double ploppers. So you see them coming off where the rat legs would be, so that this tail can still come off of the middle. So both of the feet are like ploppers. He says, I wanted to produce something that would make fishermen drop their jaws. I wanted to create a rat that wasn't just a wake bait that had been done before. Yeah, like the BBZ1 rat, but something new and unique from the minute details of how it looks to the versatility of how and where it could be fished. It pushes the limits of what anglers imagine a rat can do or how it can be fished. Combines the realistic features and looks of a live rat with the ability to be chugged, popped, ripped, slow rolled, and even made to perform a unique walk the dog that you simply cannot produce with other baits in any other category for that matter. Interesting. That sounds like a lot to be asking of one bait. I don't know how it can be popped and chugged with this face on it. Now, could it walk the dog? Could it plop and be slow rolled? Yeah, sure. But chugged and popped? I don't know about that. But sure, ripped, slow rolled, or walk the dog? Yeah, perhaps. That's kind of how I saw it potentially working. Like it's got the body of a walking bait, but with the back end of a plopper. So, a couple things you could do with it. Um, Looks interesting. Worth 22 bucks? I don't know that. Doesn't say exactly how big this bait is. It's got two hooks on it. My guess is that it's somewhere in the ballpark of like a, 4-inch bait, 110 millimeters. So looks interesting. Will I jump on that and get one immediately? Probably not, but I don't know. Maybe made by Fish Lab. So next up, Guggen Squad, not Guggen Baits. Guggen Squad Rival 7-inch glide bait. Okay, so they already made this bait in like two other sizes, didn't they? I think I got suckered into buying one of them in a small size. Maybe some of the smaller sizes were multi-jointed baits. This could be their first glide bait, and the others were multi-jointed baits. I don't know, but it looks like it's going to have a similar construction and texture as those other swim baits that they made, which I think are crappy. Um, had kind of a bad looking action, and they're not balanced super well, and they're overpriced. So this is a glide bait, 7 inches, 30 bucks. I would just kind of immediately say no. And if you're gonna be spending 30 bucks on a glide bait, and you want to, you know, a bait of similar size for a similar price, you either go with the S Waver 168, you go with the Savage Gear Shine Glide 185, you go with the Sneaky Pete by G Rat, or you go with there was one other just on the tip of my tongue just now, but there are a handful of other baits that I could say straight off the bat that are in that price range and are proven good baits. I would not and will not be suckered into this glide bait from Guggen Baits or Guggen Squad, not Guggen Baits. Matt says, I think BBZ dropped the ball with that rat bait with Fish Lab, but other baits he has with them look decent. Really? I don't know. Have you seen the action of it? I haven't seen anything about it other than just this picture and the description of it. I have no idea. You say just a wrap version of the Lunker Hunt turtle or the Savage Gear duck? Uh, Maybe, but a different hook system and a different shape to where you can use the bait in a few different ways. So you're right that that's kind of how it looks, but that might not be how it acts. And Bill is pretty detail oriented, and I don't think he would just put his name on something and release it without some prototyping and it doing things that he wants it to be able to do. So I don't know. We'll have to see kind of how that works out. You're right, Tim. He is a legend in the big swim bait game, no doubt. So I've given Guggen Squad a little bit too much screen time there. $30 overpriced. This is the Greenfish Tackle Bad Little Shad. Okay, that's just a jig head. Looks a lot like the Dirty Jigs. What's the one that Tactical Bassin likes? The little one. Just the little they like the 2.8-inch Kitech on it. It's the guppy, something like that. Guppy head. Looks pretty dang similar to that. So they make this all the way from a 1/8 up to a half ounce, and from a 1/0 to a 3/0 size. Looks like a good jig head, and I think Greenfish Tackle makes good stuff in general. So moving right along. The Gantarel is not a new bait. And here's the thing. We're going to run into this kind of a lot in the next 10 minutes or so, is the fact that at iCAST, there are a lot of baits that are new sizes, new colors, or not even new on the market. And I don't know whether to say that I like that or dislike that, but it's like over time we've come to associate iCast with new product releases. Um, and so when we see something like this, like, oh, the Jackal Gantrel, like everybody knows that bait. We've already got it, right? There's nothing special. Like we know what the Gantrel is. Like, why are you? But literally all they're doing is releasing two colors. This fired up and an RT crappie color. So sounds like both in the original and the junior. Okay, so whoop-de-doo. Same with the Jackal re-range. That's a jerkbait that's been on the market for years. I could pull one of those out, but it doesn't make sense for me to do that right this section or right this second. But I am interested to see what they say about it. TG zero friction weight transfer system that shifts 20% of the weight to the tail section during the cast. Yeah, it's a wild weight transfer system for sure. That will scare you when you're fishing the bait. But so they're two new colors: burgundy shad and chartreuse black pearl. Okay. Same bait as always, just two new colors. This is burgundy shad. Looks like a good color. Moving on. Live target, live craw. Okay. I don't know what this bait is supposed to do that's unique. A unique swing weight system that ensures a horizontal profile as the craw naturally falls through the water column or crawls along the bottom. 3 interchangeable weights allow anglers to fine-tune the rate of descent through the water. The swing weight ensures the bait is slightly off balance, creating a lifelike wobble as the lure descends or is worked across the bottom. ABS plastic body stands up to abuse, while buoyant high action TPE legs create nervous fluttering action. Low frequency knock, armed with a heavy duty Mustad hook. Okay, so I don't know. I'm not all that interested. It reminds me a lot of this 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 river to sea bait that I've already got and have rarely fished with. Okay. What is this bait called? I don't know. Stand-in yabby or something like that. Oh, does it say on it? Oh no, the Clackin crayfish. Clackin crayfish. Okay, so the line tie is here on the tail of the bait. It's got a hinge on it. It's got an ABS plastic body that stands up to abuse, and then it's got this soft plastic head for realistic action. Comes with this weed guard on it. I mean, comes with a second plastic head on it. I don't know why. I mean, you get suckered into buying these baits that look realistic, but are you really going to use them? I don't know. I mean, doesn't seem like a new concept, and Live Target's acting like it's innovative or unique, but it's not. And it's $15, 2.5 and 3-inch sizes. So not interested. All right, Shimano World Pop 69. We already know about this bait. This is what I was just saying. I opened this bait in this color we're looking at right now in an unboxing. What was it? Oh, I wasn't sharing. My bad. I thought I was sharing. Here's the World Pop. I don't know when I stopped sharing. If I wasn't showing the stand-in yabby, but anyway, here is the World Pop in person. I fished it once or twice, and I like it. I'm a fan of it. I'm a fan of the flash boost technology in this thing. I'm not moving this at all. That technology is legitimate. It's a really cool idea, and it's a well-made popper, so it's going to bloop like normal. You can walk it, but really, I think on a slower retrieve and just letting this thing sit in place and do the work for you is where this thing is going to shine. So, $20 is pricey for a relatively quiet popper. But I do think it's well made, and I think it's got something unique going for it. So I think it's worth it, but it's not brand new to the market. Now, I guess technically it depends on where you look for it. Like I think I got this from Discount Tackle a month or two ago, but now Discount Tackle doesn't have them. Tackle Warehouse says they're not going to have them for like another month or two. So maybe there was just an initial shipment that went out, and like they're hard to get your hands on now at this point. So I don't quite know what to say, but it's not a brand new or like soon to come to the market type of deal. But definitely an interesting bait. 3/8 ounce popper, 2 3/4 inches, so a little bit long at roughly 70 millimeters, but not overly long. And 3/8 ounce, good for casting. It's fine. It's kind of right in the middle Good size popper. Next up is some Spro baits. Now, before we get heavy into Spro, let's talk about it. Of course, I'm not even showing right now. I keep going on and then off and on and off. My bad. So we're back on to Spro, and Matt brought this up already, but I think this was yesterday, maybe the day before on Instagram. Most of us are in the know because it was shared in our, uh, text chain or message group chat on Instagram. But KGB swim baits and Spro are collaborating on bringing out the KGB Chad Shad into a mass production model, um, produced by Spro, designed by Kevin at KGB, and produced and sold by Spro. So super, super cool project that if you want to hear about the backstory, you want to see the baits, uh, Kevin at KGB actually posted like a 30-minute live on his Instagram page yesterday. Um, Tells you everything you need to know. It's going to be a 7.5 inch bait, like 180 millimeters. It's going to weigh 2.4 ounces. It's going to retail at $60 in Spro packaging, but with the name KGB Chad Shad 180 on it. And Kevin at KGB went through the entire process of helping prototype the baits, helping paint the baits. It's going to come in like 5 different color patterns that he painted himself, and Spro has been able to duplicate perfectly. So it seems like a really cool deal for both Kevin at KGB and Spro to be able to do such a high end collaboration like this. That's essentially doing what Mike Bucca did with Ketchco, but on a completely separate level, where you're stepping your game up significantly. Um, I think both companies, KGB relative to Mike Bucca and Spro relative to Ketchco, it's elevating the collaboration game, and I'm really excited to be able to give that bait a go. And like he was saying, he hopes is the case. That might very well be what gets me into trying the Chad Shad. And if I fall in love with that bait, then I'll probably go out of my way to buy one of his handmade resin baits from KGB uh, separately. So I'm really excited about that. I think that's probably going to be the highlight of iCAST, if I had to guess. I don't know if it's going to win awards, but who cares? That was just super exciting news and something that I'm pretty pumped about. And I hope that we can all get our hands on that bait sooner than later, and that it is as readily available as he hopes. And I think we all kind of hope. So, Daniel says, who decides what gets into iCast? Uh, I mean, it's the companies, right? So the people who get to go to iCast are the vendors themselves, for the most part, or media. It's the people who make the baits, sell the baits, uh, or who are in media. And it's not just baits, right? Of course, it's gear in general. Um, but yeah, it's vendors and media people. But theoretically, they can they can sell anything at iCast, uh, new or old, I think. But it's only worth their while to go and promote new things for the most part. So I don't think anybody really decides what gets into iCast other than the people who are going. I forgot about retailers, right? That's how I would have a chance to go, um, is through discount tackle because retailers um, get to go as well. So Matt says, was really cool to see how far uh, KGB has come and how excited he was to share the news. They look really good, almost an exact copy. Really, like he didn't change anything about him, really. Yeah, I agree. No, it looks pretty spot on. Tim, I agree that iCAST is overrated. Um, a new pack leader, though. What do you mean by that? Like a new show? I know Kevin Baxter was talking about like a consumer based show instead of a vendor based show, but I don't know how that would work. And you might be right, Matt, that the new Chad's going to be essentially the new version of the BBZ Rat. They're going to sell like crazy. I would not be surprised. iCast did used to be awesome, but has not been for the last handful of years. And I wonder why. I guess just innovation has slowed a little bit. Um, the reputation of the show and the way that awards are handed out, the way that the reason that people go and what they do while they're there has evolved a little bit. So yeah, the show in general is different than it used to be. But really, Adam, American Legacy Fishing started taking pre-orders for the Chad available in November. That's not great because Kevin was saying that, and I say Kevin from KGB, not Bait Man, that he was hoping in the fall. And November to me is late fall, early winter, pretty much. So that's unfortunate. Let's get back to this and kind of wrap this up. So Spro has a number of baits coming out, and they all look pretty cool, to be honest. Now, this is the CJ Outsider crankbait. So a little bit of a wild lip shape here that is kind of separated from the nose of the body. But this is a more mid to deep diver. Although it says that they've got three sizes. A shallow runner, which is just going to run 3 to 4 feet. So obviously from the picture, this is the deeper diver, which is going to be the DD80, which will run 19 to 21 feet. But they're going to have a mid-size, a 60, which will run 7 to 9 feet. So you don't really get like a middle, 70 size, which will cover that mid depth, which doesn't matter to me, but I wonder why they're not coming out with a full 4 sizes. So interesting. Looks like a solid bait, but as for what makes it different, I guess it's really just the fact that the weight is placed outside the bait, beneath, along that hook hanger below the bait. So reminds me a little bit of a couple of baits on the market. Not a lot, but happen to have them both right here. So the first and most obvious is the OSP Blitz, where you can see that weight is right there. And the other kind of close-ish thing to that is the Berkeley Frit side, where you get that weight exposed right there. But it's interesting And what do they claim about what that does? It gives a more responsive action in the water. I'm not totally sure about that. Um, we'll see. But Spro makes good crankbaits, so I'm sure it's going to be quality. But yikes, this thing's going to retail for $20 to $26. So if the shallow runner is a $20 crankbait made by Spro, that might be a little bit hard to bite the bullet on, if we're being honest. Yikes. I don't know what to think about that. Okay, next up is a spinnerbait. Let me zoom out a little bit because the picture's almost too big. So this looks high quality. You know, it's got that unique, like, bent wire design that reminds me of some JDM spinnerbaits. I don't know if Jackal has one, but pretty sure Megabass has one. But it's not a new design, but it generally is like a higher quality thing. I don't know what it does, but uh, I like that they label the sizes of the blades there, 4 and 4.5. Looks like it's got maybe a hand-tied skirt. I would guess a Gamakatsu hook. Yeah, nano alpha coated hooks. Mean head design. Looks solid. $10.99. Probably worth it. Again, I'm not a huge spinnerbait guy, but okay, this one's got a size 3 and a 4.5. You know, different Colorado, Indiana instead of just Willows. Solid. Looks good. $10.99. Next is the Spro Demon 55 crankbait. That looks good. I like a 55 size, 3/8 ounce. Excels in fast retrieves for covering water and finding feeding bass. It the retrieve dampens its wobble slightly and is a better tactic for sluggish fish. Hmm. $13.99. Probably worth a go. It has kind of like a little bit of a balsa look to it. I'm sure it's a quality bait. That's a rock crawler. Rock crawler 50 DD. So this is the smaller body size in a deep diving version. It's going to go 9 to 12 feet. So, you know, I think maybe they only made an MR previously in that 50 millimeter size. So now they're just going small body deep diver. Okay. Nothing new there. Spro McStick jerkbait in a deeper diving version. The McStick is a good jerkbait for sure. One that I've used for a handful of years, but just don't fish like all that frequently. I like it. I have nothing against it, but now this guy will go 9 to 12 feet deep. Cool. Yozuri 3DB pencil popper. Is that a new bait? That I didn't think that was a new bait. I could have sworn I already have like one of those. Where's my walking baits? Okay, so no, this is a Yozuri 3DB pencil popper 135. So it says this newcomer, whatever, maybe it's just a new size, same bait, but literally, this bait is not new to the market. 3DB pencil popper. 135. So now they're just putting it out in a smaller 110 size. Fine. Okay. Yozuri 3DR X Shad. Looks like a shad wrap with the prism finish. Okay. Suspends at 5 feet though. Suspending shad bait. I kind of like that. Suspender, you got me there. Okay. I'll probably try that at some point. Huh. Yozuri 3DR X Crank MR. I'm not sharing. I'm not sharing. Sorry. So I just showed this bait. The 3DR X Shad. Compact suspending shad bait. Dives down and suspends at 5 feet. I kind of like that. I'm going to give it a shot. Now this 3DR X Crank MR. I don't know if that's new. Oh, a compact size. Okay. 2 inches and a quarter ounce. You know I like that. But it looks like that lip will make it dive maybe 4 to 6 feet. I can't tell the shape of the lip. It looks round. Oh yeah, it says it does get down to 6 feet. So I don't know. Probably a decent bait. Retails at $8. Yozuri and Dual Hardcore are definitely underrated. Say that. Now this lipless crankbait's not new. 3DR X Vibe. Now the 3DR X, I don't know. That must be some new combination of letters. Because I swear this UV stuff is not new. Glow and UV patterns. But how is this bait different than the 3DB vibe? 3DR vibe? I don't know. I guess it's just combining the prism scale with the UV. They're just combining technologies. Now, Yozuri Hardcore Bullet Crank, usually they don't combine the names Yozuri and Hardcore, even though they're under the same family of companies. But this is a deep diving crankbait. The 5 Plus goes 15 to 20 feet. It's got a magnetic weight transfer system. That's what I love about the dual hardcore stuff, is that patented magnetic weight transfer system that is really good and affordable. But this bait, $16, not super affordable, but for a high quality deep diving crankbait, probably good. All right, now let me just make sure I'm sharing. Now we're into the crazy stuff. This is the Z-Man Hellraiser. I don't feel like spending a lot of time on this because this is just outrageous. It looks like it should be a saltwater bait. You can't try to advertise that to freshwater bass fishermen and expect it to do well. It's got a line tie below the bait. A Strike King Rage bladed jig blade on the back. And it says it's a self-walking topwater. I'm not buying it. Like, I'm not believing it, and I'm also not buying it like spending my money on it. Unless I see some underwater action that blows me away, and I also hear a bunch of people talking about how great the bait is. There's no way. I'm not even trying that bait. It looks really dumb. I just don't like it. $15 too. Okay, on to the next. Swim jig. Z-Man Midwest Finesse Swim Jig. It's a swim jig. Patented stable track jig head design. Whatever that means. Now, I do love this. 3 sizes from a 5/32 to a quarter ounce. So this is like a crazy small, lightweight swim jig. This is like if you mixed a Ned rig with a swim jig. That's what you get. So they say it's best with like the baby goat or the slim swims, which is a really small, slim swim bait. That's interesting. There are not a lot of swim jigs on the market that are that finessey. So I'm interested, but for $5 a pop, I don't know. Interesting still. 13 Fishing Power Slide. That's a top water walking bait, pencil popper style. Yeah, just a lot of jargon. It looks kind of cool with that like twisty design, but is that going to create a different action? Probably not. I don't know. $13.99 sounds a bit steep for what it is. I mean, you might as well just get a evergreen shower blows. Because how big is this? It's got 3 hooks on it. So it's probably in the ballpark of 110 or 120 millimeters, somewhere around a 5-inch bait. So might as well just get a shower blows 125 for a couple bucks more and know that you've got an awesome bait. If you're getting a pencil popper, right? Tim, you say Ron Davis actually designed the Hellraiser? Why though? Daniel makes a good point. The tail hookups will probably be terrible. The fish will just have to wolf that thing head first or swipe at it just right for you to get that front hook. And the line tie doesn't make sense. Doesn't it seem like it would roll over upside down? G Gfon says that dumb bait will probably be the next big thing. Um, I hope not, but it could be. I highly doubt it. We will see. Chicken Fried Steak says Ron was drunk. Kind of feels like it. I don't know how in the world he thought that up and then actually convinced Z-Man that it would be a good idea, but I'm sure that they've seen the action of it and are confident enough that they're releasing it. But to all of us, it seems like a crock of shit, you know? There really should be an award for worst bait. Although these days the award for best bait often gets awarded to a bait that is nowhere near the best and often could almost be the worst. It's just a marketing thing. Matt, the Cotton Cordell pencil bait? No, I haven't. Yeah, you're probably right, Tim. Uh, Ron knows more about designing baits than all of us. But it's hard to know where he's coming from. Hard to know where he's coming from. Okay, let's move on. Probably not getting this bait from 13. Looks kind of cool in this picture, but I highly doubt it's worth the price tag. Okay. And we're on to soft baits just like that. So we're halfway through this. Chatterbait trailer. That's the Berkeley Power Stinger. New patent pending honeycomb technology. So are they going to start putting this stuff on all of their baits? Essentially what they put on the Berkeley Gilly? Are they going to start making a whole line of soft plastics with this honeycomb design? It's not their technology in the first place, but whatever. It they say it increases durability and additional swimming action. Um, sure, some additional swimming action, but I don't think it increases durability. Um, Back and belly slots. Okay, comes in a 3.5 and a 4.25 version. What? Retails at $10 a pack. $10 for 7 in a pack is not a great price. That's an expensive chatterbait trailer. But it looks like, a good trailer. And I'm pretty sure in the videos where the slobber knocker has been shown underwater, um, it's been with that as the trailer on the back, right? So, I mean, it looks appealing, but how can they? I mean, patent pending is such a dumb phrase these days because it's entirely possible that they never submitted or applied for a patent on this crap they call honeycomb technology. Um, you could say that anything is patent pending, and you could say it's pending for a decade. Um, so does it look good? Yeah. Will I try it? I don't know. Maybe. Now it's funny that they say the hook to use bladed jig, and then this bladed jig here isn't even the slobber knocker. uh, Whatever. Okay, moving on. Big Bite Baits Quarantine Craw 425. Okay. So does that mean it's okay, 4.25 inches? I was like, what does 425 mean? So that's like a Nico rig length worm, but it's got craw kickers on it. What is this? Oh, that's the back end of the fighting frog, right? Their punch bait. So they just combined two different types of baits. I don't really know what to do with it. Say meant to be rigged on a jig head. Ned style bait. No, I don't see myself using it like that. I don't know. I'm not that interested in it. Big Bite Baits Somali 36. That is a Berkeley flatworm, if I've ever seen one. They just added a couple ribs to it and saying it's ideal for a drop shot or a jig head. Yeah, well, sorry to say, Big Bite Baits, but you can't take a max scent bait and put your black licorice on it and think that it's going to sell as well as a max scent bait. You know, the thing about Max Scent is it's less about profile and more about the scent that gets the job done. So when you just copy the profile but have your own unique scent to it, I don't think it's gonna work. Big Bite Baits Kamikaze Swim On Split Tail trailer. Okay, so the Kamikaze Swim On is that chatterbait trailer with the holes in the kickers, right? Which is a good chatterbait trailer, but now they're using the same head design, but with a split tail on the back, which is one of the more old school chatterbait trailers, spinnerbait trailers, um, everything out there. It's a split tail trailer, and they're gonna sell them 7 to a pack for $4.29. That's not a great deal for what it is. You know, I don't know. Now, this point right here actually makes a lot of sense. Um, because of the flat sides and the slim down ribbed body and the split tail, it creates less resistance in the water and baits can be fished deeper. I already made that point a little bit earlier, is that with a straight tail, and especially with a split tail and just a lighter weight trailer, something that creates less resistance in the water, you can swim a chatterbait, especially lower in the water column. So it's an interesting point, but is that a bait that I am going to jump on wanting to try? Probably not. Okay, next up is the Booyah Pop and Pad Crasher Jr. Doesn't, is that new? I don't know. Maybe it's new. I always thought that bait existed already, but whatever. I guess there's a place for that. What took them so long to actually make that bait? Because there's a Pad Crasher Junior. I'm a little confused. Okay, Biospawn Vile Minnow. That's a fluke with a couple of little fins on top of the bait. Looks like this front one, if you rig a big enough hook, you can tuck the hook point into that top notch of the bait. I would hope that on the belly it's got a slit so that you can more easily rig the bait. I assume it does, but it's a fluke. Yeah, hook channel for protection through the weeds. Oh, maybe that's not what they're talking about. Okay. I mean, it's a new fluke made by Biospawn. But they find a way to make all their baits look a little bit edgy and kind of cool, to where you want to try them. And I'll admit that that happens here for me. Like I see it and I think, oh, that's pretty attractive. But do I really have a need for it? No, I don't think so. The Exo Ned. So here they're using an elastomer ultra durable stretch X plastic, which floats. So this is a Ned bait. that is stretchy and just has two little tentacles. Essentially, this is the TRD ticklers combined with the, what do they call their stick bait? The exo stick. Um, this is just like an exo stick cut in half with half of the TRD ticklers and put in a stretchy body. Does it look cool? Yeah, that's exactly what I was just saying. Like Biospawn manages to make their baits look interesting or appealing, but I don't really have many other baits and don't care to go out of my way to get them. This is another Biospawn bait, the Vile Tube. Now, these last couple are not new. That Fluke looked new to me, but the Ned bait and the Tube bait, I'm pretty sure have been out this year. Like, didn't Jim from Tackle Junkie get both of these baits earlier this year? Especially the Vile Tube. That's not new. It's a pretty standard tube, but with these wings on the side. Angled wings allow for wider glides through the water. It's a tube. Here's a biffle bug. The biffle, the Jean LaRue flipping biffle bug. Let me catch up on these comments. Daniel, interesting point. Maybe patent pending so they don't get sued by the original patent holder? Hard to get a patent on a patent that already exists. Didn't think about that. And Tim, yeah, I mean the Biospawn baits, I think it's right up there as like perhaps the most legitimate brand that is under the Ketchco umbrella. It seems like they're well made and they're interesting designs that aren't like just blatantly knocking everything else off. So yeah. Chicken Fried Steak says, I've liked all the Biospawn stuff I've tried so far. I hear you. And Tim uses the Exo swims. Yep. I've heard good things about those swim baits. All right, so this is the Jean LaRue biffle flipping biffle bug. So this is just a biffle bug with some kickers on back of it, right? This variant features the same ribbed body that can accompany scents or rattles, combined with a solid head and quick kicking side appendages for a seductive fall. So I suppose you could still rig this on a biffle hardhead, or you could use it as a flipping bait, which theoretically that's like what they're trying to do here is just make a spin-off of the biffle bug so that it's not just a one-dimensional bait that's meant to be thrown on a wobblehead, but one that you can do multiple things with, including throw it on a Texas rig, a Carolina rig, and use as a flipping bait as well. So, will I get it? Probably not. Jackal Rhythm Wag. This is not a new bait. I've already got them. But let's see what they say. Features a split tail design that emits dynamic swimming action. Features a hook slit on the top. Help hide the hook and ensure the bait is straight. Rear hole in the rear of the lure to make it easier to rig when fishing. A backslide technique. Okay. I forgot that this was a backsliding bait. So I don't know if it's that this bait is new or if the 4.5 inch size is new, but we know that this bait is not new. I picked up the Rhythm Wag a couple, I don't know, a month ago or so. This is the 3.5 inch size, so this is more of like a drop shot size of this bait. It does come in a clamshell. It's dual sided, so I like that. But this is a super subtle little bait, right? Now that, like they were just mentioning, the hook slot actually does run all the way to the back and makes it so that you can rig this thing backwards. So that hook slot runs all the way front to back and then has that unique spot back here. So that if you wanted to backslide it, you can. But I bought this thing thinking that it was mostly going to be like a drop shot bait, maybe a fluke style bait, or in the bigger sizes could be a chatterbait trailer. I think there's kind of a number of things that you could do with this bait, and I'm a fan of the Jackal Rhythm Wave swim bait, so I just decided to give it a go, but I haven't even tried it yet. So I got to be honest there. Um, I think I only picked up one pack at the time, and I was surprised, even though I knew all too well that I was ordering a 3.5 inch size, but I think what I saw myself doing with it was actually taking an Okashira screw head because of the size of the hook and that jig head. Is throwing it on that Rhythm Wag specifically. So I just haven't gotten around to using that like spy bait technique with the Rhythm Wag, but it looks like a good bait. I'll say that. Okay. So Rhythm Wag looks solid. Oh, the 4.5 inch only comes 3 to a pack. Is that right? 3 pack? The 3.5 inch has 7 in a pack. I'd be really surprised if they jumped down from 7 to 5 to 3 as you go up just a half inch in size. So if there's only 3 in a pack at 4.5 inches, that's probably not very worth the price. But I haven't looked into that. This is not good. What is this? Live Target Ultimate Frog. Mm-mm. Am I sharing? I'm not sharing. This is bad news bears. All right. The Live Target Ultimate Frog. I don't know why we're wasting the time listening, but let's hear. Its legs contracted beneath its body. The body angled 45 degrees down. When twitched or pulled, the ultimate frog's body dips beneath the surface as its legs hinge at the hips and knees, extending to full length in perfect unison, just like a living frog as it swims for its life through open water. At the end of this stride, the lure's legs tuck back in toward the body as its eyes break the surface. In an intricate sequence of biometric motions that bring the frog to life. With a body molded from ABS plastic and legs crafted from highly elastic and durable TPE, this is engineered to withstand the rigors of surface battlefield. Okay. The Ultimate Frog's dense internal rattle calls bass in for a closer look. Its well-positioned single hook delivers unmatched hooking percentages in the unforgiving topwater angling environment. Both popper and finesse models for the Ultimate Frog are available in 2-inch and 2.5-inch. $17.99. uh, those legs have been done before. Oh, they make it sound like there's going to be some totally unique, cool action. But that single hook is something I'm really not a big fan of. Those legs, until now, I've never been a fan of. $18 for a frog is outrageous unless it's JDM magic. I can't get behind that. This is like the Hellraiser. Unless I see some unbelievable underwater action, and unless a bunch of people start raving about the bait, there's no way. I can't get on board with that. Daniel, thanks for letting us know that the Rhythm Wag actually shows 6 per pack in the 4.5-inch size. Okay, so that's a lot better than 3 in a pack. So I'd be fine with that. Matt says the Hellraiser is pretty much a Jackal riser bait without the jumping out of the water part. Interesting. Jackal Ammonite Shad is on sale for $2.97 a pack. Yeah, some of their baits are on clearance right now. I've seen that for sure. And no, I've only used the honey nuggets a couple of times. They've got a pretty subtle action on them, a lot more subtle than you would think, or it looks like they would have. Hold tight for me 1 second. I've got someone coming down the stairs. All right, guys, we're on 2 hours and 35 minutes in. We still got 18 people in here. Rock and roll. Have you guys hit the thumbs up button yet or what? I'm streaming on StreamYard, so I can't totally tell, but let's see here. Missile Bait's Magic Worm. This is a collaboration between Missile and Robo Worm, which is a really cool concept that you really don't see much in the soft plastic world. Is collaborating between two soft plastic makers. So we've got a Missile Baits design and a Robo Worm pouring going on here. So it's a hand poured bait, finesse soft plastic. So this is a shaky head style worm that could also work on a drop shot, Nico rig, Texas rig, or a wacky rig. 6-inch straight tail bait. $10.99 a pack. Oh, but you get 14 in a pack. Okay, so that's an expensive bait in general, but it looks really good. So good on both of those companies for doing that. I'll probably try them at some point. Getting 14 in a pack. I'm sure that they'll have some awesome color patterns. They say they're making 12 unique colors. Next up is the Missile Baits Chunky D. That looks good. That looks eerily like the Rage Tail Flange, which maybe that patent ran out by now. I don't know, but that speaks to me more than the original D-Bomb does. The Chunky D. So is that a shorter bait? 3.5 inch. Okay, so made to be more of perhaps a jig trailer or a Texas rig bait than a flippin' bait. Ideal for full-size jigs as a heavy cover trailer, rig Texas style, or on a swing head jig. So Chunky D looks good. Doesn't say what the price or how many you get in a pack is going to be, but I like it. Snag proof smash mouth popper frog. Yeah, I'm not big into the snag proof. The American Baitworks frogs, but I'm sure it's pretty good. $10.99. No comment right now. Okay. Spro Pintail Stick Slim and the Spro CJ Smasher. Okay, now there's a couple things to note here. Tom, have a great night. I'm getting out of here in, pretty soon anyway, so you're not missing a whole lot, okay? The Spro Pintail Stick is a bait that until now has only come in a fatter version. And they've made it in a couple of different lengths. And it sounds like they're going to make a 3.75 and a 5-inch model. Whereas until now, they've made this bait in maybe the same sizes. Here I've got the 3.5. And this is a fat bait, okay? So now they're going to make a slim. But in the 3.5-inch version, I like this fat. I don't know that I would want a slim. But the 5-inch version is a really fat bait. And so I might actually like a slim for like a Nico rig there. Whereas this 3.5, I'd like the original pintail stick on like a drop shot or maybe even on a Ned rig. But this bait, they say it's made from like a Japanese style soft plastic. What do they say? Constructed of supreme quality Japanese soft plastic and infused with amino bite scent. The worms are durable enough to fish all day. No, they're not. And provide a strike appealing scent. So, okay, they're coming out with a slim version of the pintail stick. Fine. The CJ Smasher, on the other hand, looks interesting. And I've got them in my cart right now. Coming from Discount Tackle. Okay. This is a Ned bait that is 3 inches in length, that is made from their Dura Tough material. So, this is going to be an elastomer style soft plastic, meant to be thrown on a Ned rig, could be thrown on a drop shot. Should be a good bait. Now, a little expensive, 5-pack, $6.99. We'll see what it's like. But Spro, I think, is doing big things. They're putting out a lot of new baits, and they all seem pretty high quality. So good for Spro. This is a Rage Tail bait, striking Rage Tail Scound Bug. So Scoundrel Bug. 3.5-inch crawfish imitator. Looks like a Rage Bug with a Rage Craw body. Like they just combined a Rage Bug and a Rage Craw. Which I could see why it would appeal to some people, but I just throw a Rage Bug in most situations. And so I don't know where I would use this over the Rage Bug, with that slightly more narrowed profile. Because I like the Rage Bug just fine on a jig, even though it's got that wide body. Let's see if I missed anything in the comments. Yeah, Matt's got to get going. No problem, guys. I'm going to get out of here in just a minute. We still got 16 people in here. Holy crap. We're just wrapping up these baits, and then I'm out of here. So the Yum Scottsboro swim baits. I've already showed these before. We've talked about them a number of times. Now, this is not a new bait on the market. This is another collaboration. So good on these companies for getting together with small bait makers like Scottsboro Swim Baits, who makes hand-poured soft plastic swim baits, partnering with a big name company with a lot of money in Yum to make a soft plastic swim bait that is of higher quality, and it's a good value bait. So the Yum Scottsboro swim baits are solid. I will say that. They make them in like 3 or 4 different sizes. So from 3 inches up to 4.5 inch. So 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5. All really good baits. Solid action, solid durability, great value on the baits. You can't quite beat it. So I do highly recommend those. Although they really shouldn't be like showcased at iCAST because they're not new by any means. And same here, the Z-Man Goat Toads. I've got these as well. So I just opened these on. I keep forgetting to share. So I thought I was showing. Okay, Z-Man Goat Toads. Now, this is a newish bait to the market. It's been in development for the last year or so, but they became available a couple months ago. So it's, this doesn't fall under the category of typical iCAST bait that is like just being revealed at iCAST. This is a toad style bait, deep belly slot. Got a lot of kick on it. Now, I'm curious to see how this bait compares to, say, the Savage Gear Duratech toad, because you can see these guys have very different profiles. I almost think that the goat toads would be better on the back of a buzz bait, and the Duratech toad would be better for a buzz toad type of application or for skipping. Just based on the way that these baits are shaped. So the goat toads is a little bit more streamlined and a bit more keeled on the belly. So seems like it would be better for a faster retrieve on the back of a buzzbait, whereas the Duratech toad is a little bit flatter on the bottom and wider. So like you could fish it a little bit slower on a straight retrieve and you could skip it better. Um, I don't know if that's really going to hold up as true or what my final impressions will be after using these baits extensively, but the goat toads is not a new bait per se. It's been in the works for a while and it is available already. So G-Fon says, are those goat toads better than the Yama frog? Um, that's subjective, right? I know that the Yama frog has a great reputation. That is one toad that I don't have any experience with, surprisingly. So I can't totally speak to that. Uh, but as you would expect, the Yama frog is going to have mediocre to decent durability at best. And the goat toads is going to have amazing durability. And the other major difference is going to be uh, the way that you can work the baits. So the Yama frog is a traditional soft plastic toad that needs to be reeled quickly to stay up on top of the water, like a buzz bait, right? It's a buzz toad. Whereas the goat is more like what you get in a new school type of bait, like a whopper plopper. It's made from Elastec. It floats, and it will even float with a 5/0 hook in it. So you can reel that thing a lot slower, and you can even kill it, and it will stay on top of the water. Whereas with a Yama frog or pretty much any other toad style bait on the market, aside from this new guy in the Duratech frog from Savage Gear, um, they're going to sink. But the goat toads, you can kill it mid retrieve and it will stop and stay where it is on top of the water. And that different style retrieve is something that I think will allow you to generate additional bites where it's not just a cast and wind. Start winding the second that you make the cast because that thing will sink and it will look unnatural. You will have to work that bait up to the surface and then get the most out of the remainder of the cast that you've got to work with. So, better, I don't know, but different, yeah. Interesting, Daniel. I have not seen the Yum Scottsboro swim baits at Walmart yet, but that is cool to see that they've made it in there. I know that Yum and Walmart have a good contract. A lot of the Yum baits, and Zoom baits and Berkeley Power Bait stuff are all in Walmart. So cool, man. On we go. Let's wrap this business up. So 13 fishing the trout. Also, not a brand new bait. This is currently available, but this is a big swim bait. Uh, Designed by Oliver Nye. This is like a Huddleston style big swim bait trout profile, this fin in the middle of the bait allows you to rig a stinger hook off of this back line tie looking deal behind the jig hook and rig a stinger through the, it's a two-sided dorsal fin like what you get out of the dark sleeper, where you can rig a stinger through the middle of that, like what you get with the Savage Gear pulse tail. I believe it's the Savage Gear pulse tail that has that stinger. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but there is a bait already out there like that. But you can rig the stinger down the middle and kind of hide all of the hardware, the wire harness and all that stuff in that dorsal fin, so that it's a little bit more stealthy. But this is a big bait. It's 9 inches and like 5 or 5.5 ounces. So the fact that it costs $35 is not a total surprise. It's a big soft plastic swim bait. It's supposed to have good action, supposed to be well made. So I'm not mad about the price, but I'm also not in a rush to get it. Am I open to getting it? Yeah. I very well might try it at some point, but I'm not there yet. So 10,000 fish. This is a Catchco brand. This is the Shimmer Swimmer. It's a fluke style bait that doesn't look all that interesting to me. Could be good on a chatterbait or a spinner bait or something. Yeah, they say, or as a trailer on moving baits. Okay. Another one is the Shimmer Shed 2.0. So it's got that foil inside the bait and an upside down paddle tail. I don't really know what you do with this. Ideal for drop shot rigs. Okay. Probably not going to try either of those. And that's the end of the baits. So got some rods and reels. Not a lot of this appeals to me. $300 Guggen rod. $350 Mustad rod. There's really not a lot, G-Man, Gerald Swindle, putting out his own rods and reels with 13 Fishing. Good on him. Abu Garcia making a Revo Rocket 7-speed spinning reel. Crazy. Some of these super overpriced things like the new Pro TI, Elite TI for $500 from Lose. Absolutely ridiculous. Guggen is now making their own reels for $200. Yeah, not a lot of it really appeals to me. So cool. Then we're online. Terminal tackle. Let's just stop there, guys. All I wanted to talk about was the baits anyway. We got 12 people in here still somehow because we've been going for almost 3 hours. This has been a long chat. Let me kill this bourbon real quick. This is a big last sip. It's like doing a shot of that stuff. So delicious. So good, but so hot. Guys, I really appreciate you hanging out as long as you did tonight. Super generous of you. But it's been a fun conversation as usual. So I don't know when I will be on next, but it will be sometime next week. I'm taking my kids to Colorado Rockies game tomorrow. which should be really fun. And then I'm going up to the mountains with some friends this weekend, just to enjoy some family time together and celebrate a friend's birthday. And I'll be back on next week at some point. I don't know exactly what the schedule is, but I'm pretty sure my wife is working 3 nights in a row, maybe like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So you should expect me to be on then. I will have the other half of this tackle warehouse package in by then, and I will also have my discount tackle order in by then as well. So thank you very much, G-Fon. Cheers to a great weekend of bourbon and bass. For me, it will be bourbon and perhaps trout, doing a little bit of fly fishing. Since I'll be up in the mountains, that's really all that's available up there. But no, Daniel, I'm not going to rush to get a $500 Guggen rod and reel combo. In fact, I will likely never try it. Abe, thank you for hanging tight and watching all night, dude. Guys, I really appreciate you. Feel free to hit the thumbs up if you haven't already. Leave a comment after this video is posted, if you feel so kind as to do that. Otherwise, I wish you well between now and the next time that I see you. Hey, G-Fon, thank you, dude. Buying me a shot. Oh, cheers, dude. You know what? Just for that, I'll do a shot with you right now. Let's just pour one together. Dude, you did not need to throw me $10 like that. I really appreciate it though. It's going to be a super fun weekend. Pulling out, a handful of these higher end bourbons with my friend whose birthday it is. But thank you so much to all of you guys and your support. G-Fon, cheers. Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff. It burns and it's delicious. And I appreciate you guys. I will see you again next week. Keep your eyes peeled. And yeah, tight lines, everybody. Cheers.